You know, we've been discussing for so long just the amount of construction post-pandemic that is going on here in the UAE and the way business and tourism has been going ahead at leaps and bounds.
It is true. The way things have changed here in the UAE is just phenomenal. COVID was a time when we were all, having those doubts on how things will move ahead. But, UAE has shown not just us, but the world the way to progress. UAE has shown not just us, but the world the way to progress ahead.
Well, one of the great events that's coming here, or should I say infrastructure projects, is this amazing new $5 billion moon that's proposed as the UAE shoots from the stars. The co-founder of Moon World Resorts is Michael Henderson, and he joins us on the line on Talk 100.3. Thanks for your time.
Good morning from Canada. Nice to be with you.
It's great to hear from you. I love this idea, but how did you first come up with the idea of a Moon World Resort?
Well, the project's actually just called Moon World Resorts.
Moon, yes.
Is the company name. And this was sort of way back in 2000. My partner Sandra Matthews and I have always had a passion for architecture and engineering and design. We had traveled the world a lot, including the UAE, and sort of had found at that point that a lot of destination resorts, while they were nice, they were very similar. There was a lot of similarities, and sometimes if you travel a lot, you get a little bit confused because everything looks the same and you're not actually sure sometimes where exactly you are. So, our modus operandi was to try to create something different and spectacular, while still incorporating most of the, if not all of the destination resort components that one would be used to. Of course, the challenge is when you try to create something very different, it's difficult because most things have been done before.
Right.
And so over a lot of iterations and a lot of Guinness,
Shh, we can't say.
We finally figured out what would be interesting, different, and spectacular. And ironically, it's actually the most obvious because it's the biggest brand in the world. It's got the biggest billboard in the world, and 7.5 billion people already know the brand before we even start to build. So, exciting project.
How many designs of the moon did you have to get through before you decided on the final, the final proposal?
Well, I might get in trouble if I told you that because we used so much paper. We probably went through 20 trees, but of course, any designer will tell you that the design you currently have, you think it's right until the next morning you get up and suddenly tear it up and start all over again. So one of the challenges in the architecture and engineering of the project is it's difficult, it's complex. Mm-hmm. And so we've had to wait for engineering components to sort of catch up with us. We were a little ahead of our time. And so, lots of different ways to produce it. And then finally you get something that is absolutely perfect. But it does take a lot of time.
No, it definitely does. But then, what can we expect when it comes through finally?
Well, we hope to be open 2027. We will license 4 of these around the world. One in North America, which would be USA. One in Europe, most likely southern Spain. One in Asia Pacific region, either China, Japan, or Singapore.
Okay.
And in the MENA region, we're looking at KSA, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, or UAE. So one of those regions in MENA will end up with Moon, probably around 2027. The actual project itself will be a 5-star, 5-diamond, luxurious, contemporary, large-scale destination resort. So very, very unique components within it, although you would recognize some of the names, obviously 4,000 5-star suites, spa, wellness, event center, convention center, all of those things you would recognize, although all of our components will be different. Mm-hmm. The main key differentiator, obviously, is not only the architecture from the outside, the world's largest sphere, and essentially you're looking at the moon, But we will give you in your lifetime the opportunity to walk on the lunar surface and
Yeah, I love this.
explore the lunar colony.
You know,
And so this is authentic. This is not Disney or Universal, two great companies, but they're theme parks. This is not a theme park. This is a very serious, adult-orientated facility. So you will think you're walking on the moon.
this is just extraordinary when you think that it's going to cost somewhere in the vicinity of 18 billion dirhams and the height could be 224 metres. What are the challenges involved in not designing but constructing something like this?
Well, it's a good question, and fundamentally, from the outside looking in, as you are, you're probably saying, can this be built?
Yeah.
But basically, when we pull all the paper back, you've got a very large, tall superstructure building that's built of concrete, glass, steel, and carbon fiber composite. Would have been difficult to do 20, 30 years ago. Today, with architectural engineering techniques, it's very buildable. It's very doable. Burj Khalifa looks to be an extraordinarily difficult building, and it was, but it's built. So these things can be done. But yeah, they're challenging.
I love this idea of a moon-like experience of where you stay. And I know you would have thought of it. How is the building going to look differently at night compared to the daytime?
Well, that's the nice thing. Again, lighting has come a long way over the years. As, again, you can see at the Burj Khalifa, you can pretty much put your face on it if you want,
Right.
Which is remarkable. We will use similar technology. So the moon itself, we can obviously project anything onto it we want. We have the ability to follow the actual moon phases that you'll see in the real moon above you, or we can make the whole moon a UAE flag. I mean, you can do lots of amazing things nowadays with lighting technology, but it will be quite a showcase. I can imagine you flying over on a Emirates Airlines 380 with "Fly Me to the Moon" on it, and you're looking down, and there's the moon.
Wow, the way you're saying it, I can actually visualize that structure right in the heart of Dubai. But then again, there's a point that you mentioned over here with the lighting technology that could be put into use with regards to the phases of moon. And I'm someone that who is very keen on keeping an eye on how the moon, the phases of moon come into place from the crescent to the half to the gibbous to the full,
Yes.
literally everything. Now, if that has to be replicated, on a daily basis with the changes in the moon, so if tonight is a full moon night, the hotel, the resort would look like a full moon, and then keep going down to the crescent and the no moon. Would it be challenging?
No, not at all, because we're connected with space agencies around the world. Obviously, everybody's looking from the technology that's in space, satellite technology. Mm-hmm. So we know exactly where the moon is, what the phase is, and so on.
Right.
And we simply duplicate that on the actual moon itself. So it's actually very easy. In fact, technology today. The exterior surface, which will be a carbon fiber composite, mm-hmm. will be an exact replica of the lunar surface.
Wow.
So, everything is going to be totally authentic. It's not going to be, you're looking at something and saying, well, that's not quite right.
Right.
The photography of and topography of the lunar surface is so well mapped that it's perfect. And we will simply duplicate that, and all of that information is available.
Well, there's no doubt that there'll be space nerds that'll be going through everything with a fine-tooth comb, being able to being able to highlight what is and what isn't correct. Have you had to pay any licensing fees in order to get a certain design or replicate a photo of the moon?
No, because we're actually the licensor of the project, but the space agencies, or NASA in particular, are extremely generous. Many years ago, NASA took a decision that everything to do with space is going to be out there, and so you can go on to Google today and get amazing images of the moon from NASA, just spectacular. But it's all there. It's all there for anybody.
That's right.
When it comes to investment, are you finding that this is purely private investment, or are you seeking to have, wherever you look to build, local governments invest in the project as well?
Yeah, great question. So we're a licensor, and we will license the project, as I mentioned, in 4 different regions. Mm-hmm. The actual licensees that we will talk to and are talking to are most likely large corporations, sovereign wealth funds, government tourism type groups. They're very, very large, and they already have the capital. So we, as a company, don't need any capital. We have financed the project to date ourselves internally. And, the large corporations that end up owning the particular regional license or global master license, those funds are already in their kitty, so to speak. So we don't need to raise any capital, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Now, I have a question. You spoke about, Kitch was talking about space nerds. And while he was mentioning about this, I was already looking at pictures that NASA has to show of the moon. We all know as a base fact that from Earth, what we see of the moon is just one side always. We don't get to see the dark side. Right, the other side of the moon. You know where I'm heading to. So my question is, will the resort have only that one side that we see of the moon, or will there be a dark side too?
Well, again, with lighting technology, we can do anything. But the dark side of the moon, as you correctly say, has also been mapped.
Right.
So we know what the dark side of the moon is. I thought actually you were heading to, are you going to call the nightclub the dark side of the moon or something?
It's going to be a Pink Floyd club, yes.
Yes, the Floyd. Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, we certainly want to have Pink Floyd involved for obvious reasons. But no, we will. The complete moon will be lit, and even the dark side will suddenly become, visible.
I think this is just an extraordinary event. As we've heard Michael say, it's going to be one of 4 that look to be built around the world. They're looking for an area in the MENA region. There are some rumours that it could be Dubai, but an $18 billion structure is going to be extraordinary. Michael Henderson, the co-founder of Moon World Resorts, thank you for being so generous with your time this afternoon, and good luck, and also congratulations on getting such an ambitious project off the ground, so to speak.
Well, I really appreciate being with you guys today, and hopefully Dubai is a spectacular city, and certainly we'd love to develop Moon there, and of course we'll have you guys at the opening.
We'd love to be there. We've got brilliant. It on record now, Michael, so we'll hold you to that.
Well, I'm setting up my spacesuit already now.
No, we're ready to go. Enjoy the rest of the day in Canada.
Take care. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. There's Michael Henderson, the co-founder of Moon World Resorts, that Moon proposed hotel, an exceptional $5 billion. That's close to 18 billion dirhams. And you only have to take a quick look on Google to see just how extraordinary this resort could be.
Oh, it definitely would be gorgeous. And Michael has done the right thing. You know what? By inviting us at the opening.
Yes.
I'll tell you why. Who was the first man on Moon?
Neil Armstrong.
There you go.
Oh, Neil.
There you go.
Here with Neil and Kitch on TSB.